Hello, everybody, and welcome to Budget with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany. I'm so excited to have you here today. I am going to be doing my first weekly check-in for the month of December. It's going to be a little shorter as far as reviewing transactions because I did review some of the transactions when I did my monthly recap video. So there's a little bit or a few fewer transactions to go over. And then as you can see, I do have a little bit of money to budget out, so fully excited about that. And then I'm also going to do something new that I haven't really done before officially. So kind of share, one, how I'll use it for my own benefit, but also show, something that You Need a Budget can do in case you're interested in checking it out. So let's turn first to our transactions. So some of these are going to be transactions that I've already talked about. They just hadn't fully cleared when I last talked about them. So they're still in here. But on November 28th, I had set up for my water bill to be taken out. It didn't end up officially coming out until the beginning of December, but I never know which day it's going to come out. So I just have it set up on the same day so that I don't have to worry about it. So that was $89.95. On Saturday, Sunday, we went over to DJ's mom's house, and it was his brother's 1 year anniversary of moving into his very own apartment, which was super exciting. Both of his brothers have autism. His one brother passed away earlier this year, but his other brother, at the end of November last year, moved into his very own independent living apartment. They have on-site staff that can help with things, but lives completely on his own in his own apartment, kitchen, and all that stuff. He makes his own food, and they take him grocery shopping, and he makes a grocery list and all that stuff. So it was his 1 year anniversary, so we were super excited about that. So we picked up 5 guys on our way over there, and his mom did reimburse us for that. That transaction did already clear, so I don't believe it's in here. So that was $44.42. And then DJ, I'm assuming, probably picked up a coffee, maybe a donut at Circle K for $4.14. He also got gas at Costco for $35.23. On Monday, I did my grocery shopping and went to Cub Foods and picked up groceries for $38.05, and also picked up some distilled water for $1.39. And then I also went to PetSmart and picked up some cat litter for $18.52. Paid for our monthly maintenance through our plumber slash furnace person. Basically just they come twice a year to make sure our furnace, air conditioning, and all of our plumbing is working. So it's just a monthly fee that we pay for that. And then they come and do those checkups twice a year for free. And then if we are, need any work done or anything, they also give us a discount. We paid our mortgage, so we've got the outflow from our Fidelity account for $2,500, and then the inflow into our mortgage account on You Need a Budget. DJ got his attorney pay on Tuesday for $1,125.68. He went out to a brewery with a friend of his, and so the brewery is up here at the Wooden Ship Brewing Company for $19.50. And while they were there, I think there was like either a food truck or something nearby, so he picked up some food for $17. I got a Etsy payout for $8.26, so thank you. I paid DJ's credit card, his TD Bank credit card, for $26.75. So we just have the outflow from US Bank checking account, and then the inflow to the his credit card account. I decided to purchase a different planner. I was trying to use the Hobonichi Weeks, and I started using it, the 2026 one, in December, because it has like the first month, like it starts in December, for like the weeks part. Um, and I'd used it before several years ago, but I feel like I was hoping it was going to work, but I don't think it's going to. So I decided to buy the Full Focus Planner. I've also used it before. This one, I decided to buy their minimal planner. It's one page per day instead of their regular one is 2 pages per day, where on the left side you can put like your schedule and your to-do list, and then the right side is for like taking notes and stuff. I felt like I didn't really use the notes part too often, occasionally, but not often enough to really need a whole separate page. And it is a quarterly planner, so it is kind of expensive when you buy the whole year, but they do give a discount if you buy the whole year at one time. Um, but just to make sure that I was going to actually use it, I decided just to get the first quarter, and start that in January. So that was $39.79. I think I found like a 10% off coupon online to use as well, and then I had to pay for shipping. Um, DJ picked up Popeyes for dinner, I think, on Wednesday. He is continuing to go see his dad at the hospital. He has, I think today, Friday, is his final day of like his chemo treatment. Um, and then they are going to continue to give him like platelets and other like blood transfusion stuff to help with the leukemia. And then next Friday, they're going to do another bone marrow biopsy. And then the plan right now is he will have to stay in the hospital through Christmas, which sucks. But on the day after Christmas, so Friday the 26th, they will do a third bone marrow biopsy. And as long as everything up till that point stays kind of the way it's been, they think that they'll be able to release him to come home that day, so the day after Christmas. And then he will be home for a few weeks. And then I think, if I remember correctly, DJ said he'll have to go back into the hospital for like 5 days to do like another round of chemo, and then come home. And then he will potentially have to maybe do a bone marrow transplant, but there's still, I think that's kind of what all these bone marrow biopsies is going to determine, is for sure whether he needs a transplant or not. So a lot of still up in the air, and sadness that he won't actually be home for Christmas, but hopefully it sounds like he'll be able to come home the day after Christmas. And so what we'll probably do is we always usually go over to his parents' house Christmas Eve, stay the night, open presents in the morning. As we'll still do that, and then we'll FaceTime him while we open presents. And then after we have like breakfast and all that stuff, because we have to come home and feed our cats and give Q's her medicine, we will also swing down to the hospital to give him his presents, and spend some time on Christmas Day with him and everything. And then hopefully he'll come home the next day. So not what we were hoping. We were really hoping he'd be home for Christmas, but we're glad he's seemingly doing really well. He's not really had any issues with the chemo. They've been giving him like anti-nausea medicine and everything, but he hasn't really had too much issue, knock on wood. And energy is still doing good. He's putting on some weight because he'd lost a bunch of weight. So seems to be doing well. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that it continues that way. Then I paid my Chase Sapphire card for $74.65. We just have the dual transactions. Our CenterPoint Energy, which is our natural gas for the house, came out for $116.95. And we do have the budgeted payment where they charge us the same amount every month, regardless of how much energy we use. And then I think once a year they change it up depending on how much we used in the last year. So right now it's just $116.95 every month. DJ probably got coffee and several other things, because pretty sure coffee and a donut would be way less than $8.27. But something at Holiday, I got my pay yesterday, or at least majority of my pay, for $1,795.40. Then I set up, I had $160.17 that I had set aside to put towards our brokerage account. So I moved that over and got that invested. I paid DJ's mom for our portion of the cell phone bill because we're on a family plan with them. So I set that up today. And then the rest of my pay got deposited into our US bank checking account, because they charge a fee if we don't either keep a certain balance or have like auto deposited into the account a certain amount each month. So I just have a portion of my paycheck put into there to make sure that we don't have to pay a fee. So that was $750. And then when I did my reallocation video, I did reallocate $523 into our month ahead binder. I renamed it to our emergency fund, because that's kind of really what it is it's our emergency fund if something were to happen. But it's also kind of like a month ahead in a lot of ways, but kind of together. So I moved that over to our emergency fund account. And then, so that's just the other side of the transaction. And then this other pending transaction, I think, is still as part of this transaction, the $1,950, because there were two separate transactions originally. So, and the one dropped down into the cleared and the other one stayed and pending. So I'm assuming it was just like one was the regular charge and then the other part was the tip. And so I'm assuming this one will go away. So I'm leaving it alone. So those are all of our transactions since our last video. So now we will come into our budget, and we are fully funded for the month of December. However, I do have an overspending that I need to take care of. That was for the full focus planner. I took it out of my spending account, but I only had $25 in there, so I have $13.25. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I just created my spending and our general spending category was often where I would take stuff for my own personal spending out of, I think I'm just going to take it out of that to cover. So I'm going to take that and cover. So now that is covered. I think now technically that one will be considered to be underfunded because since I moved the money around, but that's all right. So since we're fully funded in the month of December, I'm going to move forward to January and start funding that. However, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to do something new. So I wanted to do this before I start budgeting the money. YNAB allows you to create different views. So they have this snooze category, so you can see any categories that you have snoozed, meaning that you, even if you didn't fully fund them, that you snoozed it, so you don't need to meet that funding goal for the month. I don't have any in December. Underfunded means you haven't met the target that you set for each category. So pretty much all of our categories in January are underfunded since I haven't started adding money. Overfunded means that you funded more money than you needed to based on your target that you have set for that month. And then money available just means that there's money that you could take from to put towards another category if you needed to, like move money around like I just did for that overspending. So these are the ones, the different views that YNAB sets up automatically, but they allow you to also set up your own views. So I'm going to set up 3 different views that I will use when I'm budgeting. So the first view I'm going to do is going to be a mandatory view. And this is basically just, these are the things we absolutely have to pay for. If we were to lose our job, like these are the things that we would use our emergency fund to make sure that we're paying. We might try to cut back on things like groceries or whatever, but like we're obviously still need to buy food. So these are the things we absolutely have to buy or put money towards each month. So I'm going to name it mandatory. And then I can select which of my various category envelopes that I want to see under this view. So I'm going to pick both of our debts, and then I'm going to pick DJ's categories because even though he has some wiggle room for, how much he needs to spend, it's for things like driving to work and, for gas and, things like that he would still need to pay for unless he lost his job. But then he'd probably pick up like Uber or Lyft or doing something where he would still need to pay for gas. So my fuel I'm gonna go ahead and do, because even though I don't have to put fuel in my car all that often, I still need to, or when I need it, I do need it. So I'm gonna do that. Our cell phone obviously is still kind of a bit of a luxury, but it's at this point in time having a phone is a necessity. If we really needed to, we could always cut back on something related to the cell phone, but it's pretty much a requirement. So we're going to do groceries, and then under relationships, I'm going to do coaching fees for DJ because these are fees to keep his coaching, like his ability to be a coach, not technically required to actually be a coach, but it allows him to do certain things that he wouldn't if he didn't keep this licensing. And then let's see, that is it for that category. So under well-being, I think I'm going to pick health just because, obviously if we're sick or need whatever, we do put money into an HSA, but I try not to touch that money and let it continue to grow, invest it, so that we can use it to pay for healthcare when we retire. Since it's completely, tax-free and everything when you take money out, and tax-free when you put money in, as long as you use it for healthcare related expenses. So we try to use the money that we put into, you need a budget category for health for just our day-to-day expenses. Let's see, I wrote a list, so I'm just going down the list. Yoga, I'm going to put DJ, just necessity to do yoga for his like back and everything, and helps with like coaching and stuff. Majority of our house expenses are really mandatory. So, excuse me. Biannual maintenance, again, they come and check out our furnace and plumbing and all that stuff. So really, we feel it's a necessity because it makes sure that everything's running properly. Internet, especially I work from home. DJ sometimes works from home. So definitely necessity. Utilities, property taxes, home insurance. I did put appliances, just because like we're saving to replace an appliance should one break down and not be able to fix it, or it would be too expensive to fix. So I feel like that's a bit more of a required expense to put money towards each month. Home maintenance, just because again, if we need to do some home maintenance, this is generally the category that we're gonna spend from. And if we needed to cut back a little bit, we could, but we still would obviously want to put money into that category if we could. Household and toiletries, we still need to buy shampoo and toilet paper, things like that. We just probably would cut back if one of us lost a job. So projects, obviously there's always projects around the house, but these are like big projects that we most likely would not do if one of us lost a job. These are more, you know, want to do at some point. If we lost a job, unless something was just dire, we would not be doing those types of house projects. Car expenses, pretty much all of our expenses except for a new car, I think would be kind of considered mandatory. Deductibles, like we don't have to technically put money into it, but if we ever need to use our deductible, obviously we'd want to have that, but that's also what our emergency fund and stuff would be for if we didn't have enough money. Pet care and vet are both mandatory. Need to feed our kitties and give Cuse her medicine, and obviously take Cuse to the vet twice a year, and Soda, once or usually every year, but every other year. Pet sitting is kind of in line with like travel, because we generally only get a pet sitter when we travel, and if we were to lose a job, we probably would cut way back on travel or not travel at all, so we wouldn't have a pet sitter. For subscriptions, really the only thing on here that I feel is a bit of a mandatory is YNAB, just because, I could get away without using it, but it would probably be one of the last, like, more discretionary spending that I would get rid of, because it's just so crucial to me for budgeting and keeping track of finances. So it would be like the last thing, but I kind of feel like it should be a mandatory expense. Our credit card fees, Costco, and our tax prep fees are all discretionary. And then our credit card payments are solely based on actually using the credit card, so we don't have to worry about that. And then our wish list are just future projects that we want to do. So I think I've got everything. So now that I saved that, all of those categories now show up under here. So then I'm going to make another one called discretionary. And it's just really the opposite of the mandatory. It's just all the things that, nice to have, but, if we were to lose a job, we probably would not spend. We would cut these out either right away or pretty quickly. So my food, I don't eat out all that often anyway, but I would probably not go out to eat. My spending, I would probably cut back on completely. Most of the things that like I would absolutely need to get are things that would be covered by other categories like toiletries and stuff like that. Eating out, we probably wouldn't not eat out at all, but we probably drastically cut it out. And like if we both lost a job, then yeah, we definitely would cut out eating out. And same thing for spending. Like most of our regular spending is covered by other categories, so our this general spending category is a lot more discretionary. Same thing with dates. We definitely want to go out on dates, but a lot of times we aren't really spending a whole lot on dates anyway, because we just either go for a walk or something like that. And so we could either just do stuff for free or whatever if we needed to. Giving, definitely would want to keep giving, but if we were to lose jobs, we probably would have to cut back on that. So coaching, there's probably some things within the coaching budget that while DJ's coaching, he'd still kind of need to pay for, but he could definitely cut way back if he wasn't working, because this is generally buying like food for meets or football games, or taking a kid out to dinner. Unfortunately, a lot of the kids that he coaches have food insecurity, and so there's just sometimes like that he'll treat a kid to dinner after practice or something like that, and it's super sweet of him, but like very sad as well. So all of our gifting is going to go into discretionary. Obviously we'd still want to give like Christmas gifts, but if we weren't working, we would either cut way back or find like make things or something, or just be like, hey, we're not working, we got to cut back, and say sorry. Opportunities, since we generally are using this category to go to things like concerts, or just taking like a, if there was like a course that we wanted to take that we didn't know, um, and we want to take advantage of it now or something like that. It's just an opportunity that presents itself that we want to take advantage of. So that's definitely something that would get cut back. DJ and I are not really clothing people. Obviously, it's something that if we need new clothes, we would want to buy them, but it's definitely a lot more discretionary. And when we buy clothes, it's usually cheaper clothes, because neither of us care about brand names or anything. So, hair, I get my hair cut. But if the place that I go to is more expensive, but if I needed to, I could go back to going to like a one of the like the chain hair places or something like that, or I could definitely stretch out how often I get my hair cut. During COVID, it was probably like 9 months or something that I went between getting my hair cut. So, hobbies is definitely something. Massage, thankfully, say massages are very beneficial to me, but it would definitely probably be something I would cut back on. Tattoo would definitely get cut. Technology's a bit more discretionary. Travel is definitely discretionary. Let's see. House projects is really the only thing in here that is discretionary for house. New car, it's discretionary. Pet sitting, all of our subscriptions except for YNAB is discretionary, and then all of our miscellaneous categories. So I think I've got everything there. And then our last one is going to be goals. And I'm going to put mortgage, and there's a reason for that, because even though it's under mandatory, the mandatory part of our mortgage is the $1,500, which is our required payment. It's a little under 1,500. We just have always rounded it up to 1,500 just to make it a round number. The extra $1,000 that we've been putting towards it obviously could get cut if we absolutely needed to. So that's going to be the extra 1,000 is the goal. And then emergency fund, our Roth IRAs, and the brokerage account are all goals. DJ's base is technically a goal, but I don't fund that. But I'll go ahead and just add that in there. And really, like, a new car and home projects could also go under goals, but I think leaving them where they are is fine. So we've got all this. So I think part of the reason I decided to set this up is now, instead of being under all and starting at the top and working our way down, I can come in here and go to mandatory and start funding. And then once I get all of the mandatory expenses fully funded, with the exception of that extra $1,000 for the mortgage, then I can move on to discretionary and then goals, or things like that. So we will come in here with our $3,679.34. Excuse me, I had lunch not that long ago, and for some reason I keep having like burps. So I apologize. So we will start doling out this money. So for our mortgage, like I said, I'm just going to do the $1,500 as the mandatory. So it obviously won't, or, it's not going to be fully funded until I get over to the goals part of it and do that extra extra 1,000. I'm going to do the $337.71 for the my student loan, do the $350 for DJ's spending, and $100 for his gas. I do $40 for my gas, $83.74 for cell phone, $350 for groceries, DJ's coaching fee is fully funded and comes out in January, so we'll start funding it again, I think, or in February. Um, yeah, so it'll, now that I flip over to February, it shows that we'll need to set money aside. So for health, we're going to do 25, 20 for yoga, 19.95 for biannual maintenance, 69 for internet, 310 for utilities, 333.33 for property taxes, and we don't have enough to fully fund home insurance, but we can put the 140.61 in there, so we'll just have 34.39 left to fully fund that one. And then the next week when we actually no next week, since DJ got paid and I got paid for this week, neither of us will get paid next week. So when we come back in the third Friday of the month, we'll be able to start putting in more money to the rest of the expenses. So, but yeah, so that is all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.